Prof, thank you for the presentation. Well done. So this time around, we are going to have Dr. Elena Ioannis. She's the Deputy Director for Quality Assurance and Promotion at the University of South Africa, UNISA, since 2013 in the Directorate of Institutional Quality Assurance and Enhancement. Since then, she has fulfilled a number of quality assurance roles and functions at the managerial and practitioner level. So this time around, we also need the shop floor people who know what really happens on the ground. This is one thing I always think about, that if we are looking for the advisory board members and what, we look for names and not for the person who will provide us with what we want, which are the people who are practically involved with what we want, and they make better contributions. Current duties include, amongst others, liaison with academic and professional as well as administrative staff in developing, implementing, monitoring, and evaluating the UNISA Integrated Quality Management and Assurance Framework, facilitating internal and external reviews, and reporting on review outcomes. The last of this is aimed to assuring internal and external stakeholders of the quality and benefits of open and distance learning. In addition, she is responsible for external liaison with national and international quality assurance agencies, which include the African Council on Distance Education, where Prof. Tang Lang is the Executive Director for Quality Assurance there. She assisted in developing toolkits for quality assurance in distance higher education in Africa. I could go on, and this one I could write a book. But in the interest of time, Dr. Elena, you are welcome. What I request you to do is to add on to what Prof. Judonu has said, and thereafter, may you please go on if you have anything to advise us on capacity building for academic and academic support and students' digital literacy, and anything else that you can add, because we just have you, and we check on the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I hope you can hear me.
Yes,
can you hear me?
You.
Thank you very much. And I just want to, and thank you very much for the opportunity. And I just wish to add the following to what on the provision of policies and the voice of another key stakeholder that we shouldn't forget, and that is our external quality assurance agencies in our respective countries, because they are, as public higher education institutions, we have a statutory obligation to also listen to the guidelines and directives that they often give us during the COVID-19 and this pandemic time that we're in. I just want to share with you what our South African Council on Higher Education have provided in terms of institutional quality guidelines for higher education in the time of COVID-19, and specifically, just to add on to what my previous colleague have shared, for program management and program development. And in this time, what they have shared with us is that curriculum adjustments in terms of elective modules and topics, that is what we will also have to look at in terms of policy revisions. We will have to look at our existing policies for recognition of prior learning, credit accumulation and transfer, and assessments in higher education. And they have advised that these would remain pertinent and should continue to be used. In terms of academic staff workload allocations and performance agreements, and they said that we should revisit them, and this would actually be one of those policy revisions that we should have to make, because we have to revisit this as to account for the huge investment in time that staff will make to pivot to the emergency for remote teaching and learning that they had to invest during this COVID-19 time. So in terms of policy revision for quality assurance, I want to just add that there are many considerations in terms of program management, program development that we as quality assurance managers and quality assurance practitioners will have to assist staff at that level, so that when they revisit those policies on curriculum development and assessment, that we can advise and guide them on that. So that is what I would want to submit to this conversation on quality. Thanks, Chair.
Very much, Doc. I think our time is a bit strained, but allow
Should
me
I continue?
Yes,
Do you want me to continue?
You
with
can
the capacity
continue.
building?
I think you should join on and continue for just
capacity building. I just have a few minutes on capacity
yes.
building. I'll do that
Okay.
then.
Yes, you can do that too.
Okay. So in terms of capacity building for, thank you, Chair. So for capacity building for the new normal, shall I just continue? You can still hear me?
Yes.
I will share the slides then later with everybody. And what I would have shared with the colleagues now is just, because everybody has already highlighted what have been important and what if we have discussed in every of the webinars now. So I would have wanted to highlight that which have remained at the margins. And I just wanted to bring that into the conversation this afternoon. The new normal, I want to stress here, have impelled the leveling of the playing field for all, for students and staff. It has impelled us to redefine the ways of learning and working. And it has impelled us to reskill and capacitate staff and students, and impelled us to change the organizational design for the new reality. Our approach, as everybody has already said, is to regular and documented engagement among staff and students on all aspects of quality management, implementation, support, enhancement, and monitoring at all levels, not only in the academic sphere, but also in the support sectors. We have to monitor the systems and processes so that we highlight the areas for capacity building, because there will be new areas that we have not actually thought about, and we have to bring that into the conversation on quality. So the areas of consideration that I don't want us to forget, and I just want to speak about two focus areas: academics and academic support. And then I will focus on three areas in students and student support. Firstly, in terms of academics and academic support, the capacity building for academics and academic support. And for want of a better word, I've termed these softer skills. It's the humanizing framework for integrating technologies into instructional design. According to Stobel and Tilburg-Webb, a humanizing framework enables teachers to critically evaluate their activities on how technology is used and integrated into the teaching mission. And the main purpose is that technology is only used as and when and how it may be appropriate to achieve the educational goal. The core principles of the framework are the following: fostering independent thinking, problem-based learning, student-centeredness, and student engagement and interaction. Capacity building in this area for academics should be in how do they actually reorganize their instructional design so that students can feel included in the teaching learning environment. This is a critical area for development. The second one is how do we actually manage personalized individual feedback to students? And in this area, this is actually very critical because during the lockdown period, we could see that students might feel isolated and if they don't get that feedback from lecturers, they might feel they don't know if they actually are actually succeeding or not succeeding. And in this area, capacity building in terms of learning analytics can assist. And that is where we can actually focus on. Another area that we have also should not forget is that the emergency remote teaching strategy that has been adopted under pressure and within a short time frame threatens to exclude or disadvantage many, especially students with disabilities. And this is an area that I feel very passionate about. And we have to be vigilant and guard against lowered expectations. If we allow this, then students with disabilities will again be marginalized. And academic support and capacity building should focus on empowering academics and support staff to accommodate and support students with disabilities from registration to graduateness. And in terms of students and student support, and I'm rushing, I'm sorry because it's time limiting. Are you still there, Chair?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay, sorry. So in terms of students and student support and the capacity building areas that I don't want us to forget is digital literacy, and enough has been said about the importance of this for all students. And of course, as my colleagues have highlighted earlier on, we need the ICT platforms and we need the data. And that is what we have to focus on. The second area that we shouldn't forget is in tandem with the online proctoring and other interventions to curb plagiarism, we have to shift the debate to the importance of academic integrity. We have to start working towards a new cadre of students, and clear and regular communications with students is paramount now in the new normal. The third one that I don't want us to forget is that the online learning environment is not easy to navigate, and the COVID-19 has brought more challenges. We have to invest in provision of support in terms of e-counseling and e-mentoring and other psycho-social support for students, because the online environment can be a lonely environment. And at UNISA, we have started with these projects and we will share this in future webinars. So with that, I'm sorry it was a marathon that I've just rushed through. I say that capacity building in quality assurance remain still very important. Quality is should remain foremost on the agenda of every university. There's no one size fit all, but we can learn from each other.
Hello,
And
Doc.
now you have lost me. Thank you very much.
I think she has challenges with connection. But while we are, okay, you can continue.
Okay, so you have not heard me. Where did you lose me?
We did.
You
we
lost
did
me.
Violet. We were hearing
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Yes, yeah. We were hearing her. Thank you.
Are you so?
Continue, Doc.
Okay. So what I was saying is, I said, in terms of capacity building, and I said I've rushed through because I've realized that we're at the end, and I'm sorry about that. But what I wanted to highlight here is that these are the areas that maybe in this COVID-19 and in this crisis, pandemic and emergency teaching and learning that we should not forget. And these are the areas that in the new normal we should take forward. So with that, Chair, I will hand over to my other colleagues just to continue the conversation. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you very much. I just want to thank the panelists and to thank Dr. Elena, who has just given another dimension. Just a quick add-on to that, quality assurance issues, they are taking a new dimension. They are going to be digital too. Staff and student support rapid response teams, for example, for ICT and internet services, efficient and effective digital communication platforms, including social media for dispersing bulk messages at low cost. All these things, psychological services. I think Dr. Elena touched on it, but this time we can just not brush it aside. It affects both the students and staff, particularly those who are not really used to this mode, and everybody else is going to be stressed, and we really need to be vigilant. Strong collaborations among students, the university and alumni will help a lot to improve the quality, because we had an example of the webinar we had on Tuesday. We realized that they took advantage of the existing resources within reach. So they involved their alumni for resource mobilization and also to help them to build the systems, because they had another competitive advantage that they've got a department of ICT services. And in addition to that, the students who have not even yet graduated were also put in the fore to come up with suggestions to help. So that is quality education in terms of relevance. Strong networks. I think Ms. Nodumo Dlamini emphasized every other speaker, Prof. Luvio, Prof. Tanglang, Prof. Judonu, everyone else was talking about the issue that at the center of everything is effective ICT gadgets, tools, platforms, applications, softwares. We need those, and we prioritize them to the extent that somebody said even allocate 60%. Examination process, internal service security, and internal storage, internal capacity, heterogeneous teams with the ICT skills and internet services, expertise and skills. So if we don't have that, for example, we can't have then huge servers. We need them to have them on the cloud, and we pay some people to manage them for us. Security of online communication platforms, very important. Identity and access. We normally took them as just things. We called them things, but now their quality assurance matters, because everything else of the institution is there. Identity, access of management systems, the golden rules of virtual collaboration will also strengthen quality assurance in our institutions. I just wanted to also point out that this issue of student and staff support is important and key, but the number one, buy-in from our university managers. By all means, if the university management does not have a vision for improving quality, which is now at the center of everything, to give credibility to what happens during this period, so that our graduates can be accepted without question in future, those who are learning this period in this period. We simply need to embed quality assurance in what we do, not to talk about it and not to reflect on it when we are done, but as we are starting any other thing that we are doing, we will look at where is quality assurance? What can we quality assure in this thing that we are doing? And then that way we will be able to move on. And like never before, please, let's take note to make sure that we have the user manuals and the videos. These are part of quality assurance. You know why? Because instead of having too many calls and too many queries and inquiries, where we have very short videos and user manuals which guide people on how they carry on their businesses, it will save us a lot. Capacity development, let me just reiterate another dimension of it. This time around, you see, we are all at the center of online learning. You can't say I was not trained to do that. You need to know. I can tell you that it's very important for us to move on, because the resistance is mainly also because of technophobia. People do not know what works, how it works. I remember when I was a teaching assistant, I bothered this lecturer who knew it. I have cut, where should I paste now? Where are the things which I should paste? Can you imagine? Those were the days. And when I look back today, I say, we need to learn everything. Right now, some people cannot even create a link from this Zoom or any other platform. Some people cannot join a lot of students, and they spend time being frustrated. So we need capacity building. Let's take advantage of some of the free online webinars and workshops that are taking time now, so that we can enhance and enable ourselves to make sure that we move on. Remember, there is the whole university system. Now we are not concentrating only on teaching and learning. Let's look at how we are going to do e-commerce. How are students going to pay fees? How is the university going to pay?
Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Okay, so how are we going to check on the library, check on the clinic, and check on everything? We have admissions, we have recruitment of staff, we have marketing for new students. You are telling me you will wait until COVID goes in order to take new cohorts of students, when others are already marketing online to make sure they get students. So it's about everything and everything. I had some institutions which are saying, even UNISA told us, this time around, their exams are going to be online. I saw a question on that, and it was saying, how do you ensure quality in exams, that there's no cheating? There are many ways. Reshuffling the questions. Somebody's answering number one now, and somebody thinks they are all answering number one. They realize their number one is completely different. And to set higher order level questions, which would demand application and critical thinking. In that way, a person would not have time to ask, so what have you written? They can't write about the same in terms of application. Each one needs to think of their unique applicable situation, examination, analysis. This is the time, and it will help us a lot. What I also want to say is, when you look at access, it's a quality aspect in higher education. Access and inclusivity, all those are quality assurance issues, and we are now bringing them to the fore, so that people don't look down upon them and assume they are just things which are there. So there are many things which we could have said. In terms of online things, again, students are going to select their student bodies online. They are going to share and campaign online. Everything now is online, but at the center of it all should be quality and quality assurance. So let's take some questions. Irene, I don't know if I can get some assistance, because I've been cut off a number of times, and I'm not sure now if I'll be able to pick the questions that have been asked earlier.
Okay, Dr. Makuku. And so since we are here now, let's go to some of the questions But before we go on, Doc, I have already forwarded some to your emails, which you can check and then go on and ask. So there is this one here from Chiboli. He wants to ask, how do we ensure that we maintain quality in teaching during COVID-19? I think most of the presentation have already addressed that, but if you would want to make any submission, you can.
May you please repeat again?
He said, how do we ensure quality of teaching and learning during COVID-19?
Okay, I think most of the things have been said that in the first place, we need to have the infrastructure that we need to use. But the other thing now is training and capacity building. It's not the lecturers. The lecturers alone, yes, they need to be trained. But the students too, they have got their part to play. And we also need to train the students. In the first instance, in my earlier presentation, that's why I said, you realize that we are only training emergency remote teaching to lecturers. And we are making a deliberate move as the Association of African Universities. Just contact me as the workshops coordinator. We are also training, we intend to train students also, because if they are not savvy in the use of technology, we have problems. And it prompts me to tell you that let's use the particular platforms that both students and staff are used to begin with. Because if we do that, they are not grappling with learning how to use the platform or the social media platform, which is the, let's say, WhatsApp. Everybody else is used to WhatsApp. And the WhatsApp can help us. Everybody else is used to emails. So we can start from these things which people already know. And we now continue to build our capacity in training people to use more, because more and more platforms are going to come. Right now we have Zoom. We can't push people into the deeper end before we teach them. And it prompts me to then say, if there are any people who are involved in this thing as policymakers and stakeholders, we have the teacher training and the postgraduate diploma in teacher education. We need to revisit the curriculum, because where are they going to work? The whole world is now digitized. So it means the way we train teachers on how to teach, the way we train lecturers in the postgraduate center really matters. And this time around, some people, some universities did not have the teaching and learning centers. It's something we need to institute like yesterday. Let's institute the teaching and learning centers. We equip them very well, and these ones are going to help us a lot to now train and address the other issues which come with the ability to do some work. For example, I went to one university. They had purchased these huge interactive boards and the video conferencing, but the lecturers were trained once. Those who came after the training were never trained. So when I did institutional evaluations, I saw the students were complaining, we have this, but it's underutilized. Of what importance will it be that we acquire expensive ICT and internet services that we cannot use in our institutions? So let's have the capacity building moving along with acquisition. Thank you. I don't know if any one of the panelists wants to add anything on that.
Okay, so this question goes to, okay.
This question,
yes, this question goes to Nodumo if she is around. The person wanted to ask, she's Faith, and she says, what is the AAU doing in order to ensure harmonization in digitization of learning so that African countries can move forward as one bloc rather than individual fragmented countries. So this is from Faith and want Nodumo to answer that. Or
Let me give another question before she answers so that she can respond also, because it's pointing at her and any other. In view of the ICT infrastructural challenge confronting most African higher education institutions, can AAU facilitate with the African Union deliberate investment on robust ICT connectivity to link all African higher education institutions? South Africa has such an infrastructure at national level, I can acknowledge. In view of the ICT infrastructural challenge confronting most African higher education institutions, can AAU facilitate with AAU deliberate investment of ICT connectivity to link Africa? So Nodumo, start first, and then after you, if we have other people to support from the panelists. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Violet. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So concerning the issue of harmonization in digitization, I think we need to take into consideration the Council for Distance Education in Africa, which is based in Kenya. I believe that they've come up with a framework or a policy to guide programs that are open distance e-learning programs. So that is where we should really start in terms of making sure we have a common set of guidelines for how to do e-learning, and that has already begun. And I think Dr. Makuku also involved in the African Standards and Guidelines initiative within HAQUA. So I believe that's where we should start. And then, of course, at a national level, we had a webinar recently with the National Quality Assurance Agencies, and the whole idea was to conscientize the national level quality assurance bodies to really move this issue of online learning, online degrees, because what we see is that most of our countries have not really embraced them. So that is where we should start. Let's update our policies at a national level, those policies that guide accreditation. But we are already there because we do have a framework from the Council for Distance Education. We also have the African Standards and Guidelines. Concerning infrastructure, there have been initiatives before. You should remember that Africa is actually doing well in terms of connectivity. If you look back maybe 10 years before, there were not so many fiber cables or sea cables that we could tap into. So potentially infrastructure has improved. But what has not improved is pulling that capacity and bringing it within our countries. That's where the issues are. The national level infrastructure has improved at the same rate as the maybe regional infrastructure or resident infrastructure by our coastlines. So there have been projects that have tried to address this: Africa Connect 1, Africa Connect 2, and now we are about to implement Africa Connect 3, but it has already begun. So what we need to do, we really need to strengthen our entrance. For example, Africa Connect 2 was asking our governments to co-finance the projects. So Africa Connect 2 had resources where we would meet the governments halfway. but we saw there was very little preparedness in most countries to sort of co-finance some of these infrastructure problems, projects. So we are working with the African Union. We've been working on this, as I said, since 2015. Progress has been made. The challenge now is the national level infrastructure that we need our governments to be involved in. We need those infrastructure projects to be prioritized at a national level. So we need to bring some of these discussions closer home and really look how we are prioritizing resources at a national level, so that when the donors come with resources, we are able to meet them halfway. Thank you so much, Dr. Makuku.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nodumo. Can we have some of the panelists to add up anything in relation to the two questions?
Okay, so this is for Professor Livuyo Landley. The person wanted to know, how do you conduct quality examinations online, devoid of cheating and other vices? And also, how can we deliver quality on practical courses online that will portray students' real hands-on experience in this new era?
Yes. Yeah, can I come in then?
Yes, Prof, it's your question, so it's only right.
Yeah, I think in my presentation, I said there was a code of honor where students would actually say, this is my work entirely. Therefore, you sign that agreement, which I think it is also binding in one's conscience if we all believe that we should be ethical beings, specifically within the higher education space. The second also line of defense is when we actually having a softwares that dictate any issues around plagiarism, or what I call high levels of similarity within one's work, so that we can do those issues. And then thirdly, we are actually looking at iris recognition, and then also to use a lot of proctoring tools where they can actually monitor students to be able to say it's not the same person that has been typing because of the keystrokes and everything. Therefore, these are the proctoring tools. We are actually gonna use the December examination. Within the June, we did not make enough time to get those aspects. And then also within then the other levels within the institution, there are academics and staff members who would actually be able to do moderation and all other things in order to be able to say, this student has always been performing at a 50, 60 level. All of a sudden now she's at a 800 or something. Therefore, we will be able to actually look at those variances and be able to moderate those issues. But so far, that's how we're doing that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, and the last question here is from Emmanuel Bamfo AJ. He said, can we have a policy on online qualifications so that accreditation boards in Africa can accept online qualifications?
I think Prof. Livuyo can respond to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think to a large extent, we might need to have policies on that, but I want to really emphasize it's just a matter of attitude, because online is a delivery mode. It has got nothing to do with standards. It has got nothing to do with the levels of difficulty, because it is just a way in which you actually deliver the thing. But having said so, it's very important also to show that the traditional classroom where we all learned is not the means of learning. I think human beings have evolved further that now they are actually able to learn better and even get better materials because students at university, some do not attend classes because they've got boring lecturers that actually are not adding value to their things, but they still get their degrees. But somebody would respect that than somebody that has gone online. Therefore, this second class status of distance learning and online learning, I think COVID has actually assisted us to actually eradicate that because everybody is forced now to be online, and which I believe that is a way to go and is the future. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, thank you very much. You know, this question is very important. I just want to thank the person who actually raised it and the response that has been given right now by Prof. You know, what happens is I have known some institutions where they say for academic support staff, yes, we can accept anybody who has done open and distance learning. But for academics, no, we can't do that. Can I tell you something? I am a testimony of a product from UNISA. That's where I did my PhD. But where am I today? So the perception that people do have to about ODL and online learning is quite unfortunate. But now, can you see, we are having our eyes being opened to say there's everything everywhere that you can use to actually make sure this integrity and assessment and exam process, which has always been questioned, can actually have its integrity. And so this is a very important aspect. Other than that, I was also looking at, in our countries, we have universities in Africa, which are from elsewhere, in Asia, America, or what. And then we also have African universities. What I'm not really happy about is this labeling theory. You label, this one, UNICAF is everywhere across the world. I know Malawi and Zambia are already offering UNICAF degrees and people are graduating. But what I may need to emphasize is that maybe in circumstances where we don't have the COVID-19 and such other pandemics, the blended learning mode would work very, very well. And there's a misconception that people think online and ODL does not offer practicals. That's another area which I need to address. Unfortunately, maybe most people have left, but the truth is that even with online and ODL, you are afforded practicals. You can do them in your country in some place that is organized for you. I'm talking from experience. And so whether you are doing medicine, teaching, banking and finance, the university can give you a letter to facilitate you being engaged there, or in some university to do your practical in ICT, in biology, in medicine. That is the reason why UNISA offers all these practical disciplines. Have we ever asked ourselves how they do it? So this misconception should also go in order for people to now have a broader understanding and a broader perspective of what is surrounding ODL. You know, these misconceptions, we now need to clean them up and build the real conceptions of the things which are on the ground. So we would need more and more of those people who have been involved in online and ODL, the Prof. Judonus, the Dr. Ioannis and Prof. Tang Lang. There are so many others. On Tuesday, we had a webinar from Valley View University here in Ghana. They did very, very well. Those who attended can tell us that it was good. Ladies and gentlemen, surely even the elders say everything should come to an end, no matter how good, no matter how beautiful it is. So at this juncture, allow me to thank the AAU management. Why? Because surely they've been highly responsive from the start. And to the extent that recently they acquired this Zoom platform for us. And we are very grateful that it's a forward-looking management which has got a vision to serve the continent. And at this juncture, I just want to say there are more benefits for AAU members. If you are not a member, I encourage you to be one. I just want to say we are starting our quality assurance workshops. Please, you have my email address and you have my WhatsApp number. We are going to write you. We are running a survey where we are asking people, what is it that you want us to cover? And I just want to acknowledge there are people who don't know anything much about quality assurance. That's why the first one, we will start from the basics. Then when we have the basics, we are now applying them to the digital norm. So each other session, we will bring somebody from the library to help us on quality assuring a library resources. Next time, it's somebody on exams who is an expert in that, and how do we quality assure exams. The other time we have enrollment and recruitment of student support and what, we have an expert each time who will come to handle the aspect of the digital space quality assurance. And I can assure you, you will not afford to miss any one of them. In terms of finance, how are the fees going to be paid? I know many have started on it, but there's now more to it. You are going to have many more students now using many more modes of payment. How will you make sure that there will be no fraud? You think 100 students have paid only to realize all that money has been taken by somebody else, purporting to be you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all the audience, the participants. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank the panelists. You have done a great job and you have shown your expertise. I want to thank the technical team for all what you have done. We still have a long way, but it shall be done. I want to thank myself. I want to thank management for giving me the opportunity also to try and bring the people together as the coordinator of this program. And I say thank you to myself. Thank you to AAU, thank you to AAU senior management, thank you to the technical team, thank you to the participants. Do fear, please don't close the session because a few comments are still coming and we want to use those as we evaluate and find our way forward. But any other participants can leave at any moment from now. Bye-bye. Wishing you the best. I miss the people. You know, I'm always among you. Bye-bye.